Welcome to the new cyber frontier, bringing you the latest news and initiatives that focus on the development of cybersecurity economics. You don't have to be a computer or cybersecurity expert to get plugged in. Your host brings it straightforward, asks the tough questions, and brings the cyber world to a level of understanding for everyone. You can find us on the web at www.newcyberfrontier.com. Now join our host as he introduces the topic for today's New Cyber Frontier.
Welcome to today's episode of New Cyber Frontier. On today, we have Dr. Subhash Paluru, who is no stranger to New Cyber Frontier. We've had him on a couple years ago, and I think with Dr. Murray. One of our better performing shows, as you know, your breadth of experience in the energy and critical infrastructure just resonated with our listeners. So welcome today, Dr. Paluru.
Thank you very much, Chris. Appreciate it. Thanks for inviting me back again. I totally appreciate it.
Yeah. So give us an update on where you've been since the last time we talked and what's been going on with your life. Give our listeners kind of that recap.
Oh, absolutely. So as your listeners very well know that I came from Department of Energy, so former executive over there, and I joined a startup, a quasi startup, Freedom Motors, which has been an R&D company for 22 years. And I was brought in to take that to the next level of mass manufacturing. And I've been working on it. COVID was not kind to all the startups. My condolences to the ones that have shut down, and kudos to ones that survived. The most important thing was to restart everything of what we have done prior to COVID. But right now we are at a point where I call it the last mile, where the last tranche of money comes in and we begin manufacturing. So it's really exciting times for us. We are super excited to take it to the next level. While I'm doing that, I'm also, what they say about the dog's tail, right? So I came out of Department of Energy, worked a lot in cybersecurity and everything, and that interest is still in my heart. So I'm still a board of director of another startup, an exciting startup called BlockFrame Technologies. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with that, Chris.
I do. I am aware of that. So, but thanks for joining today, and thanks for all your support you've been to me personally as well. Today, I think we have a good topic to discuss that we've been working back and forth on some of these things, and I know you just said you're in the heat of it. And that's, for so often we have inventors that have great ideas. Wow, I know how to get this done. It's great. But now we have to explain that to the world and get everybody else to buy in that it's great. From exception and getting started, that idea to that requires a branding that attracts investment. And that's the part that I know you have just been a master at with what you've done with Freedom Motors. And I think that can be applied to so many places in the industry and so many people that looking for that turning the corner from a startup, whether it's in cyber or another area, but in emerging technology, that have to look at what it is that makes it attractive to everybody else, not just me, the inventor, right? So tell us about that journey and your thoughts in the branding aspect.
Sure, absolutely. I would love to do that. I came into a company where the brand was already there, but I had to change the paradigm, change from the way the company was to what the company is today. But usually a startup is where, the inventor, is in some discussion or watching TV or doing something, and they go, boom, this will 100% work, and no matter what everybody else thinks, the inventor will always believe that this is going to change the world, and that motivation is extremely important. But what is also important is the awareness that goes around that. What do you do when you have an idea, right? I mean, are you going to go and work on it? I suggest people to take time, understand, realize, do some, search, find out more about that area, before you start branding and start moving, and then realize that, oh my God, there are a million different companies that do exactly the same thing. And you don't want to do that. Do some research, and then when you believe that this is going to work, then you take it to the next level of start a company, and then start branding. Initial branding is where you have your conceptual ideas of how you would like to brand this. But always remember that every investor that you're going to go to is going to ask you to change the brand a little bit, so be very malleable, very flexible, because that will change, as you move on in your journey. So the most important thing is idea, research, start of the company, and begin the branding process. I mean, branding process is, I would say, past continuous. I mean, it just happens from day one, and it just continues. You never stop your brand, because you have to continue to keep at it, make it better.
All right, let's take a break here from our sponsors. We'll be right back in a minute.
Sure.
BlockFrame technology offers next-generation blockchain-managed trust and security. Unique non-fungible tokens are used to secure software bills of materials to provide data quality and security for every transaction in your supply chain. Deploy advanced peer-to-peer product security, scale zero trust capability to millions of IoT devices, allow vendor tracking and accountability, and rapidly reset from compromise. Unchangeable, time-sequenced blockchain data provides next-generation security using machine learning trust algorithms and audit analytics. Start securing your supply chain today by contacting BlockFrame at www.blockframetech.com.
Welcome back to New Cyber Frontier. On today, Dr. Subhash Paluru, the Chief Executive Officer of Freedom Motors. And, so many of us start because we think it's neat. And I would say, in some ways, I'm guilty of this technology is great. I've seen this similar thing revolutionize a market, so I'm going to commercialize it. I'm going to take and walk in and start designing it. Mm-hmm. And it might take a couple years to get the technology to the point where it can be a minimum viable product, releasable or whatnot. And by that time, the market ideals might have changed. And you could have strongly branded under, this was the biggest thing in the market right now. And, everybody's probably thinking the same thing right now. If it doesn't have AI in the word, right, just throw anything you did before that out the window. But no, we have to start saying, wait a minute, in the new world, how do we play with what we have and say, well, can we target branding that makes sense to the investor? Now, talk about going through that kind of switch, after you might have something. I know with Freedom Motors, you did that pretty well because you had a motor and in the air, or an engine in the air of motors, right?
Right.
Everybody Absolutely. Wants to go green. Everyone wants to be electric, and the best engine in the world could come out that's going to revolutionize things, which I want you to talk about. Now, how do you switch to say, well, wait a minute, we need to brand in this new landscape?
Right. Absolutely. I mean, that's an excellent question. When I came into Freedom Motors, we portrayed as an engine company, and I took that, it was intriguing to me because I came from Department of Energy, and in spite of everybody's beliefs that the batteries are going to change the world and that is the new future, the whole world runs on generators, engines, and electric motors. Those are the three that generate power. I mean, those are our power sources, right? And everything else, is later. I mean, batteries are great power source, but a very poor energy source. We got to charge the battery so that the battery can give you power.
Especially in what energy to weight ratio, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. Power to weight ratio, right? So batteries are like, you can get we call it virtual torque. I mean, you get that instantaneously, and you can get as much juice as you want instantaneously. But at the same time, you're going to drain the battery as well, which means the stored energy is so limited in a battery. So you have to charge again. So when I came in engine, so I pitched to a couple of our friends to say, hey, I'm thinking of joining an engine company. And they're like, in this day and age of electric vehicles, why an engine? And I realized it would be a daunting task to brand. So from there, I'm going to be very short here because I could talk for days on this one.
Mhm.
So we took that concept and we changed the paradigm. Hey, you don't accentuate the product, but you accentuate the attributes of the product, which are so important in this day and age. What is more important to Gen Z and Gen X? Oh, well, emissions, fuel efficiency, and most importantly, long life, very small capex and very small opex. Capex is capital expenditure, opex is operational expenditure. If you
Mhm.
can articulate these things, and
So
importantly,
that's what, when we think about it, that's what the battery and electric vehicle companies sold to the world. And if you say, let's rebrand, if we have something else that might do the same thing using the same terminology.
absolutely. I mean, the thing about that is, you don't have to change technology, or you don't have to change anything to show that you can achieve what the world needs today. If
Mhm.
your product is going to do it's going to make a difference in the world, then accentuate that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that is very, very important. I mean, we were just talking before this recording. I said, how many pillow companies are there? Just search in Amazon, you'll find like 100 of them. But everyone does the sales. Everyone is doing very good on Amazon. Why is that? Because everyone accentuates certain things that a consumer wants, and that is the sentiment you cash on so that your
Like a
product.
good night's sleep,
Oh, absolutely. A good night's
reduce
sleep, a
back
good
pain.
back, neck pain,
And it has nothing to do with pillows. It's just, and they're
yeah,
all the same exact pillow for the most part. It's just like
absolutely.
yours makes people feel differently.
Absolutely. Physics is the same, the contour and all that, it's the same. Materials are the same. Then why is that everybody is selling it differently? And some sell more, some sell less. And that's exactly where branding comes into play. You know?
Yeah. Interesting. So when you're looking at the world of like AI, and we all made a shift, and you see so many companies just, let's do a search on all our products wherever we had security before, change it to AI, or
Mhm.
wherever, and then see how it reads after we do that.
Right.
And I've seen this 5 or 6 times in the last decade, where there's just been a shift to zero trust, from security to data security to AI now. But the interesting thing, I went and started listening to pitches in Silicon Valley, and the people would come up with, we're going to change the world, we're going to make everybody diverse, have the same equal opportunity in life, they're
Mhm.
all going to be equal to everybody else, and we're going to be renewable with everything, and oh, by the way, we make jogging pants.
Mhm.
So their whole approach and what they're putting out there as their image, their branding, is this mission of the world that almost has nothing to do with their product. And that
Absolutely.
just floored me when I started hearing company after company do this.
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Purpose is extremely important. My purpose has nothing to do with an engine, everything to do with the environment and the whole thing, right? I mean, I always believe that the way my parents have given this world to me, the cleaner and everything, I should thrive, or I should work hard to give exactly the same or better to my kids. And so that's my belief, right? So it has nothing to do with the engine, but the engine plays a part in achieving my purpose. So the
Mm-hmm.
purpose and the mission is extremely important. Like jogging, the jogging pants, right? I mean, most people feel good when they wear the clothes that they like. They feel good about that. So why don't you cash on that? Why don't you accentuate that part of the consumer so they buy your joggers more? Most
Mm-hmm.
people forget that they love joggers. But then when you do that advertisement, and then when they see it, they go, you know what? I love joggers. And these are good.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not that the product was super great. It could be,
But I'm
but
supporting a company that they're going to donate money to making this happen.
purpose
And that's
matches.
exactly what these startups were pitching is we're going to donate 5% of every sale of your jogging pants to making the world diversity and color, no nobody.
Right. Nobody's left
Yeah,
behind.
nobody's left behind. I
Yeah.
tried drew a blank on that. Yeah, exactly. Nobody's left behind. And I'm like, wow. I mean, the product was almost secondary to the pitch, and I've seen this time after time. We're going to make your pet the happiest it's ever been, and oh, by the way, we sell eye drops for dogs.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I say this, right? I mean, Freedom Motors predominantly does very high efficiency engines, right? Somebody asked me, what do you do? If I say I make engines, they're going to go, oh, okay, fine. And they walk away, right? But if I say, well, we make engines for planes, and they go, oh, tell me more.
Mm-hmm.
Then I talk about that. And then they go, how is that you're going to compete with General Electric? You're going to compete with this and that. And I'm going to go, oh, they are turbine engines, they're jet engines. Let's talk about piston engines. Let's talk about my engine. Then I show them my photo where I'm. See, the great thing about this, what I do is the first thing I did when I became the CEO, the first photo that was taken was with our chief operating officer. I said, I'm going to hold the engine, take the photo. And that resonates with everyone. If I tell you, I say, power to weight ratio and power to volume ratio is very important for an engine, when
Mm-hmm.
you have to go into an aircraft. It's highly technical. But if I show the photo and say, look how small the engine is and how tiny it is and how lightweight it is, and this produces 125 horsepower. The same thing that was very technical, now I put that in a way where I actually have given an idea of the branding to the customer, and they say, tell me more, and I go, hey, it's green, and
Mm-hmm.
they are like extremely excited by that time,
Mm-hmm.
so it's important how you brand it. More importantly, I mean, like, while you're branding it, I'm going to take it to the next level now.
Yeah.
It's extremely important to go do some at least learn what a TAM, SAM, SOM, those kind of things are. A TAM is total available market. What is the market that is available and how big that market is? It's very, very important. You need to find out what the product costs, and can you make the product competitive enough that it can get into the market? What are the salient features of your product is? If there are something that the market needs and there is nothing there, well, that's disruptive, accentuate that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you say that my product is just like any other product, but the important thing is there is not much being produced. So me also joining the fray would actually suffice the market. So there is always a bigger market, like for example, it's all about supply and demand. There
Mm-hmm.
is, if there is too much demand and less supply, then you can go in with the same product like everybody else is making and still make money.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, it's all about revenues. But if you have something that is so disruptive, then you go in and say, hey, this is very, very disruptive. The market is very big. And then you go in, and the next level would be serviceable, available market. You have the total market. It's not necessary that you will play in that total market. What is important is what is the available market where you can service that market. So you
Mm-hmm.
find that out, and then now you say, how much can you obtain from that market? How much market capture that you think you can have, and why do you think you can have? And that gives like an idea of a revenue stream that you can project to an investor.
And that was
These
the
are very, very
SOM,
important.
the
Yeah,
SOM, the
SOM,
service.
serviceable, obtainable market. Yeah.
Okay.
These are very, very important things to learn even before you go in front of an investor. Usually, I mean, I kind of put that in like 3 or 4 stages. So it's like pre-seed, like I have an idea. I go to friends and family. I go, hey, I would need about 50 to 100 grand to get started. Then you
Mm-hmm.
pool the money in and you start the company and you work hard, and then you bring it to a level where at least you can show something, you know. Friends or family are great, but there are certain things that the inventor or the startup person would like to also understand is the government gives a lot of grants in certain areas. Go look
Mm-hmm.
that up. It's perfect for preceding your company. The government goes on TRL levels. It's called technology readiness level. If you're in first 1 to 3, then you can just ask for the grant and say what will be my target when in 6 months when I get the money, where will I be? So it's
Mm-hmm.
perfect to get your product almost ready, or ready, and it depends upon what kind of product that is. Now you can go to the seed, where you can go to the accelerators or the incubators, usually associated with universities or a group of entrepreneurs
Mm-hmm.
who like to see technology or products in their field and give some funding so that they can mature the product.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the key. Um, One thing that the startups, I mean, they get a shocker is when they go in front of the accelerator or an incubator or an investor, they don't realize that they don't. It's not a community service. They'd like to take a part of your company, sometimes a little bit more. So you need to understand that hey, if I have 100% ownership of the company, by the end of me getting the funding and going into the next stage of revenue making, I would be giving out at least 40-50% of the company. Just remember that. Your target goal is to keep at least 51%, and then get into the next stages. So these are the stages that they would like to, that they should know before
Mm-hmm.
they do anything else. It's just everybody. It's a OJT, on the job training,
Mm-hmm.
but learning a little bit actually goes long ways.
Yeah.
Otherwise you end up hiring someone who knows that, and then I mean, if you can do it, then you can do it all the way. And then, of course, you need help. I mean, you have to build a good team.
Yeah. I think what you're talking about now, and I think there's some stats to show this. Going from that, I have an idea, or even I can make it work, to
Mhm.
being able to commercialize by going through these steps of how do I make it appealable? How do
Mhm.
I engage the investor? What
Mhm.
stages do I go through? Is where most of the companies don't make that jump, even with
Mhm.
great ideas. Like I saw Freedom Motors, you came in to take it through that process,
Mhm.
but it might, with the greatest technology in the world, might have sat there for years. And I've heard of other engine companies. I know I walked into a company, he had over 200 patents on the wall. And he said, most of my patents have been bought by big companies just to kill,
Mhm.
just to shut it down because they have 40% of the market, and an emerging technology, they want to keep it in case they start losing their market. They could introduce it then. But for now, they're making good money. So they're just going to stop it from competing with them.
Right. Oh, absolutely. That happens. The biggest problem in the market is large corporations. They look for disruptive technology, and if they see them as a competitor or a threat, they just buy to not have competition. Some kill it, some integrate into their product to make their product better. So it
Mm-hmm.
depends. So you have to be aware,
And
that
you have
if
to choose who you invest with and who you work with to make sure that you're going to be able to maintain your vision.
Absolutely. Every investor that comes in will have something to tell you about and advise, because they feel ownership of the company, which is great, So you have to understand, and you need to make sure that every investor is heard, and at the same time make the best decision for the collective,
Yeah.
for all the investors. Yeah.
And sometimes we get offered, and I don't know if you want to talk about instances where a big company comes in and says, we'll give you a lot of money for this. And you have to say, no, because you would change the intent of what we're doing.
Yeah, the purpose of it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have in the last couple of years that we have noticed that there's a lot of interest from large companies, but they don't want to partner. They would like to buy. It's cheaper for them to buy out, and then make a ton of money because they've seen the TAM, that they know the Som and Sam, and they go, I think it's pennies on a dollar if I buy it, because then I'm going to make revenues, a lot more revenues. So that happens. The second thing, you need to very carefully evaluate every partner is what their intent is. Make sure you have good contracts in place. Make sure you always have control of your technology. Especially working with large corporations, because I mean, it's not that everybody is bad, but there is a potential for happening. I call it the David and Goliath scenario. It doesn't stop anyone to do. I mean, if you want to be in a competition, then what you do is you just unknowingly take somebody else's technology and incorporate, and you do that, to infringe on the patent or technology. If you have a patent, then you can go and file a case. Large corporations do understand that they have infringed, but the thing is, they know that the revenues are in billions. They can settle out of court for $1 billion and you're done. So you have to also understand how you work with. I'm not suggesting anyone is bad. I'm just saying these are the things. It's not about them. It's about you. How you protect your technology. How you protect your. Patenting is one way to do that. One of the things that in the past with our association, Chris, I mean, we realized, how hard it is to not just patent in the US, but also protect yourself around the world. Which countries that you want to put your protection in, and therefore you have good protection around the world. Very, very important.
Yeah. So anything, it's kind of, we're reaching the end of our time. Any closing advice and, branding to attract investments that you could put out to our audience?
Absolutely. So a little bit of understanding. There's a lot of literature around on the internet. Just go read that first before you jump in. You may have a great product. The great product also requires great management, take it from cradle to grave, like I say, But most importantly, find someone who you feel could help you, advise you, unbiased advice, mentor you in that, and I've had the opportunity of having great mentors in my life. I attribute most of my success to them. Some of it my hard work, but most of that is their advice, which is very, very important. So have that in place, document, and make sure that you plan ahead before you jump in. Just because the idea is great doesn't mean that it might succeed in the world. Try to find a way to do that. Branding is important. Strategic planning is extremely important. Surround yourself with good advisors. If somebody thinks just like you, then probably you don't need them. You need some. I mean, diversity. Innovation thrives on diversity. So make sure that there are different kinds of people around you who can advise you properly. That's extremely, extremely important.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot. I think that was a good closing advice. And thanks for joining today.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you again.
All right, Subhash. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
All right, let me
We hope you have enjoyed this episode of New Cyber Frontier. Remember to get involved. Often we think that someone else will handle privacy and security in the virtual world, but you are the only one truly in command of your virtual fate. Join our mailing list so we can keep you informed of breaking news and new releases. If you have an idea, if you have a question that you would like to hear answered, or if you want to get involved with our efforts, reach out to us at newcyberfrontier.com. We also encourage you to visit our sponsors' links, as they are the ones that really make this show possible. I want to thank each of you for supporting the show, and we look forward to seeing you back for the next episode of New Cyber Frontier.